Hello, snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host, Avran LeFeber, and this is Top 5s, the only weekly Top 5 show in snowboarding that you tune into because you're an intermediate rider and you like to get freestyle all over the place. That's right, this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the top 5 intermediate all-mountain freestyle boards for 2024-2025. Number 5, the Rossignol Resurgence. Now I know a lot of people are like, Rossignol still makes snowboards? Yeah, they do, and they actually make really good snowboards. Bindings and boots, not so much. Those are straight trash. But the cool thing with the Resurgence is that it's camber dominant with rocker in the tips. That camber section is plentiful. It's going to allow you to really load up this board and drive it, while having that rocker in the tips is going to give you ease of entry in and out of turns, a better spot to butter with, and with the tip shape, it works exceptionally well if you decide to get into POW. So if you're like riding some POW on this thing and you need to butter, it's going to be great. And even if you land switch, it's still abrupt. It's going to help funnel it out. Overall, when I got on this board, I was like, damn, this thing is actually really dialed, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It just kind of stood out as being one of those underrated gems that you can kind of do everything with and it won't hold you back. Number 4, the Gnu AntiGravity. The shape is kind of cool with it. You got that slight little pointy nose to it, so it helps funnel out fresh POW when you get into it. It's got a forgiving flex that is coupled with that C3 camber profile. So you got camber with a slight dip of reverse between the feet, and then it comes down and it kind of flattens out. So what that's going to do is give you these big sweet spots in the tips to press around with, but you're still going to get that pop underfoot. But you can also torsionally twist this board when you need to. You got magna traction on there, so on icier conditions, it's going to be able to grip and rip. It's a very forgiving flex to it, but you can still charge if you absolutely need to with it as well. The one thing that I would say is a downside on it is the bass tune sucks right from the factory. Take that thing to your local tune shop if you've got one and tell them you want a structure put in that bass, just anything to put a little bit of groove in there to help break up that surface tension and allow it to glide a little bit faster. You'll thank me in the long run for that. Number 3, the Yes Standard. There's a reason it's called the Standard. It's just a standard old school snowboard. That's what it feels like. It does have a little bit of cam rocker to it. You got a little bit of edge tech underfoot. It is a little wider at the insert, so for those of you guys with a bigger boot, you're gonna notice that. It's gonna help you in there, so don't be looking at the waist width spec. Look at it for the spec underfoot. The flex is forgiving, but you can still charge with it when you need to. That added width and then the camber underfoot really do add to the stability of this board. It's damp, but it's still lively when you need it to be. It's one of those boards you can go from the peak to the park to the slush to everything in between. It's not gonna hold you back. It's just a good board. Like, it's just consistently good. We're about halfway through this video, I think. I don't know where I'm getting edited into, but what I need you to do is go down, click that thumbs up. Let's feed the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, right over here, do that. Click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the programming we've got coming out for you. Number 2, the Wired Recon. So Wired is a little brand out of Vancouver, and Rob Dow, the owner, has been designing boards for decades. And a lot of the stuff that I've ridden over those decades that he's developed, I've absolutely loved. The Recon is another one. It's just an easy board to ride. It does have a core milling between the feet, so it helps with the torsional flex. It's pretty much camber dominant. You do have a little bit of rocker out in the tip and the tail. So it floats well when you get in POW. It's really easy on a groomer. The side cut is dialed. You can rip a turn with this. If you want to be laid back, just cruise the blues, you can. Or if you want to leave a trench, you can do that as well. The pop is solid. It's one of those boards that's not going to hold you back when you're going to ride a little bit of everything, and you can throw that freestyle flair that you want from it. It's a board that'll allow you to progress, and as you progress, it won't hold you back, but at the same time, it's going to be easy and help that learning curve that you need to take you to a top tier rider. Honorable mentions, all great options, but just barely didn't crack the top 5 of this list. The K2 Gateway Pop. Now some people might be like, isn't this on one of your beginner lists? Yes, it's that good. You can ride it from beginner to upper, middle, intermediate for sure. It's just a board that it's got snap, it's got good response, it's meat and potatoes in a lot of regards, but I've never had a bad day on it when I get on it and I see people that I can put this on and go, hey, go out and ride it into the ground, ride it till the rails fall off, and then you upgrade to something a little beefier. The Capita Outerspace Living. This board got revamped this year, and the problem with the Capita line is there's a lot of stuff that cannibalizes other riders. Like there's so much overlap. This is one of those boards, I get what they're going for with it, and it was a fun ride, but there's other boards out there in their lineup that I'm like, this could disappear, this could do that. The other thing was, I think it's got a little too much rocker in the tips. It makes it a little looser than it should be. But if that's what you're looking for, that's not a bad option. Like, I don't think people need to be like, oh, I need a Mercury when they're still a progressing intermediate. I think that this would fit them a little bit better. And the final honorable mention is the Endeavor Ranger. This is just another meat and potatoes board. You can go out, ride the whole mountain with a freestyle flare. You don't have to worry about it. It's solid for what it is. It is cam rocker, does what you need it to do. All 3 of these are great options. They just barely didn't crack the top 5 of our list. And when I say our list, it is a collaborative effort between TC and I now when we make these. Like what we're doing over here? Want to support us further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. And the number 1 intermediate all-mountain freestyle board for 2025 is the Rome Warden. They redid this board this year. They gave it a new shape, and that kind of tweaks the flex pattern of it. It's still very responsive. It's very approachable. Just feels a little bit stiffer than it was, which means it holds an edge a little bit better, and it takes a little bit more effort to get pop, but what you get out of it, it gives you back more from it. This board was just a blast for everything I put in front of it, whether I was smashing pow in the trees, ripping a groomer, hitting the park, buttering around, or just cruising the blues. It's one of those boards you can pretty much put any intermediate rider on and be like, here, go ride this into the ground, you're gonna get better. Which you could say that about everything else on this list, but this one just stands out to me more. It's just that dialed. Like, I could ride this board every day and I would be happy with it. And that's what I look for when I'm making these lists, is like, what could I ride every day and be happy with? And I think back to when I was an intermediate rider in the late 90s, early 2000s. This board would have helped me so much. I would have absolutely loved being on this because I think the learning curve is exponential on it. You can really just ride this board into the ground and have a great time. This has been our top 5 intermediate all-mountain freestyle boards for 2025. Are you buying something on this list? Leave me a comment down below. If you're not feeling this list and maybe you're a beefier rider, why don't you go watch one of our other top 5s that'll cover higher-end boards for you. Seriously, go watch another video. We need you to.